and welcome to the semifinals of the StarCityGames.com Indianapolis Open Weekend. Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan here in the booth. Nick Miller down in the feature match area. He'll be live tweeting our results of our semifinals. And our backup match primarily is prepared to watch our main feature match between Dan Musser, number 1 overall seed, playing Bantel Drazi, and Nicholas Byrd, number 5 overall seed, playing Ad Nauseam at SCG Tour. Hashtag SCGINDY to join in on the conversation as we work our way through the semifinals. And Musser will start things off with a windswept heath. Looks like both these players got pretty full hands, 7 carders.
So I think the critical piece is that Musser needs game 1 to have a shot here. His Thought Knot Seer and Mana Acceleration. He needs both of those. So he missed double Hierarch on turn number 1. Still could have Eldrazi Temple, and that can play things ahead of schedule. But I think he needs to have that mixture to have a real shot in game 1, assuming Byrd has a functional hand.
Flooded Strand took me a minute to go get a basic island. Ooh, gonna clean off that card right there.
Yeah.
So Nicholas Byrd wrote in his top 8 profile that he's been playing this deck for a very long time. It shows. We've watched him play a little bit earlier. I think he's like all foiled out or best versions of all cards, all that stuff.
Yep. Has the Expedition fetches, if that's your thing.
Yep.
Foiled Japanese temples.
He's got nice Serum Visions, the old ones. I'm not the biggest fan of the F&M art, so. Musser going to get himself in Hallowed Fountain.
Not a big fan of foils, but I like things that came out of a pack. Not a huge fan of Judge promos and F&M stuff. That doesn't really do it for me.
Okay.
At least give me something that came out of a booster pack.
All right.
There's an authenticity to that.
Eldrazi Temple. It's important for Musser to have that because we're in a pure racing situation here.
Yeah, that's step 1 there. That lines up to a turn 3 Thought Knot Seer if he has it. And that's the kind of draw here. A turn 2 threat, turn 3 Thought Knot Seer. That gives him a shot.
Now, what's interesting here, as Byrd's going to play a sleight of hand, is this is the 3rd game we've watched Nicholas. We watched him win 2-0 in the other match against Obzon Company and Andrew Main. We haven't seen him suspend a Lotus Bloom yet. We sure? Okay, he's got 4. I'm just making sure. Just making sure. Here's a Temple of Deceit.
Yeah, the Lotus Bloom, that's easy mode. Those are the games that are trivial to win. Doing it manual style takes a little bit more effort.
Beatdowns for 3 by Musser. Byrd going to fall down to 16. Does he have a Thought Knot Seer? That's the question. Looks like the answer is no. It's Displacer plus Birds of Paradise and passing the turn. Now, that said, he could be waiting to pull the trigger on the Thought Knot Seer. It doesn't mean he doesn't have one.
I would not do that. I would cast it if I had it.
Well, the only reason I could see him waiting is simply because it's very unlikely that Byrd can go off on this turn.
Give him one more draw.
Give him one more draw step. Yep, that's all you're trying to do.
But I also want to make sure that if I draw a Thought Knot Seer the next turn, I can cast that one too.
Totally reasonable. Makes a lot of sense. Is it time for Pentad Prism? Yes.
So that gets him up to 4 mana next turn. He's got a land drop that gets him to 5. And then a land drop or a Simian Spirit Guide gives him the requisite mana to cast Angel's Grace and Ad Nauseam the next turn.
Here's another Temple. Temple's such a great addition for these decks. Scrying at a premium.
So this does open up a window for Engineered Explosives to come into play. If you can get that Pentad Prism off the battlefield, Byrd may not have enough mana, and then the random beatdowns here might be good enough.
Drowner of Hope, the draw, not so much. Not for this matchup.
I mean, Drowner of Hope sets him up to have lethal next turn.
True.
But next turn is optimistic.
Well, with how much manipulation that Byrd has done here with a Serum Visions, a Sleight of Hand, and 2 Temples.
Yep.
It's just too unlikely, in my opinion. Now, here's a Drowner. And look, you're right. He does have lethal. That's what he's presenting right now. And that's all Musser can do is say, hey, present lethal. Cross my fingers, hope something's going wrong here.
And a turn 5 kill for his deck is not shabby.
That's pretty fast.
That's about as fast as it's going to get.
Yeah.
But, you know, Byrd still has to have it. We're talking like this is a done deal.
Well, he drew an Ad Nauseam.
Angel's Grace, so it is a done deal, I think.
I have a feeling you're right. 5 mana, Ad Nauseam. On the stack, Angel's Grace. All right, draw that deck, my friend.
All right, you lose. Pick up your whole deck. Again, we've seen this before. The Angel's Grace insulates him from dying to Ad Nauseam, so he can pick up his whole deck. You have a bunch of Simian Spirit Guides that allows you to cast Lightning Storm. The end.
Musser, can I see your deck? Actually, I have your deck list. Never mind.
Yeah.
keep that. I'll just look at it on paper. Show me the Spirit Guide. Show me the Lightning Storm.
Is he Path to Exile?
Oh, powerful.
Assumes a lot about the game.
3 of these. 1 of these. Good choice on the target.
Like that?
By Nick. I like that.
Now on the stack, he's adding counters to it.
Yeah, take a look at the old Lightning Storm here. Look at that. Discard a land card. Put 2 charge counters on Lightning Storm. I'm curious, in the history of Ad Nauseam, has anyone ever lost a Lightning Storm battle where someone's like, all right, throw a land at you? What do you think about that? And then they lose as a result.
Yeah. Well, you would basically have to not be prohibited by maximum hand size.
Yeah.
Because the second plays 20 lands, you're going off with 4 or 5 of them.
Look, I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying I'm hoping that it's happened at some point.
I hope so too. It feels like something that could have happened in the history of all Magic that's been played.
Yeah.
One time, I wouldn't be shocked.
I just want one time.
One time.
That's all. Nicholas Byrd wins game number 1 here over Dan Musser. Not much of a surprise here to see him win game number 1. As Ad Nauseam very quickly up a game here over Mantel Drazi. Let's take a look at the sideboards. We will start with Dan Musser, who's got 3 Stony Silence, 2 Blessed Alliance, 2 Graph Digger's Cage, 2 Negate, 2 Rest in Peace, a Disdainful Stroke, and Elspeth Sun's Champion. Great card here. Elspeth, a natural state of Thragtusk.
What's really nice about Ad Nauseam is that it does fade a lot of the anti-combo measures that people often go to in the format. Be it cards like Graph Digger's Cage and Rest in Peace. Doesn't really do anything here. 2 copies of Negate and the Disdainful Stroke, I think, are positive additions. I would bring in the natural state as well because Musser needs to count his Path to Exiles that don't really do anything.
For Nicholas Byrd, he's got 4 Leyline Sanctities, 2 Darkness, 2 Fatal Push, a Damnation, a Timely Reinforcements, a Path to Negation, a Hurkyl's Recall, a Laboratory Maniac, a Disenchanted Echoing Tree. Some interesting options here for him.
I would probably present the same 60. You could talk me into the Damnation, maybe the Fatal Pushes, but I think Byrd should sideboard very light here. It's not like Musser is bringing a lot of disruptive permanents to the table. He just has a couple counter spells. So a little bit of creature removal you can talk me into, but I'm not going very deep here.
Well, Patrick doesn't want to change too much. We'll see what Nicholas wants to do.
Just say the extra copy of Path to Negation I think is fine. If you think that Musser is going to be sitting back on Disdainful Stroke or Negate, I think Patrick is a reasonable card to bring in. But very light sideboarding here. Not a Leyline of Sanctity matchup, and in my opinion, not a Darkness matchup either.
Okay. These players will take a look at each other's deck list. They'll sideboard and shuffle up. Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment. Now, there's a new set of Magic cards coming out real soon, and it's not Modern Masters. It's Amonkhet, and if you want to make your pre-release a little bit better, well, you can get Amonkhet at your local pre-release.
Say hello to the newest member of the StarCityGames.com pre-release exclusive creature collection, Amonkhet. Illustrated by fan favorite Andrea Radek, this solemn sphinx has claimed an honored place in the afterlife of Magic's newest desert oasis. Want this limited edition playmat at your pre-release? Have your local store contact StarCityGames.com by March 7th to get signed up today. For more information, visit go.starcitygames.com/pre-release to learn how to make your Amonkhet pre-release rise among the worthy.
Go.starcitygames.com/pre-release for more information. Have your pre-release rise among the worthy for Amonkhet with the Amonkhet pre-release playmat. Dan Musser, big fan of cats, Pikachus as well. The number 1 overall seed here with Mantel Drazi back against the wall for the 31-year-old from the Akron, Ohio area. Bit of a healthy drive back for him. Hopefully it's with a winner's check in hand. He's got a master's degree in applied mathematics, and much like myself, a big fan of T-Swizzle. That's what people in the know call her. And as you know, because my alarm clock in the morning, it's Taylor Swift.
Which I tried. It was Taylor Swift. I believe Shake It Off.
That's correct.
And I tried to dance in front of you.
True.
To motivate you to wake up.
True.
And you hit snooze several times.
I think it was 6 times this morning.
I think you saw me dancing, and you said in a quiet, still waking up voice, "No." And hit snooze and went back to bed.
That is accurate. That is 100% accurate. That happened this morning.
No.
It wasn't malicious.
Right. You just weren't ready.
I was not ready. I was not ready for everything that was happening. I wasn't ready to shake it off. I wasn't ready to see you dance. None of it.
Yeah.
I needed another 5 minutes.
It was a very sweet, a very gentle no.
So here's a question. Is the snooze button a good or bad invention? I'm leaning bad.
Probably a good invention, because the alternative, I think, is just fewer people using their alarm. If I know that I couldn't turn it off, I wouldn't use it.
Well, you're not even turning it off, though. You're just delaying your day. Like, you've set your alarm clock for the time that you set it for a reason.
Yeah, but I often like to wake myself up a little bit early and give myself the cushion to go back to bed in the event that I'm too tired to wake up.
Okay.
Sometimes it takes me a little while to get going. You
So
know?
as an example, this morning I set my alarm clock at 8:30, knowing that I was going to press snooze for at least 30 minutes.
Yep.
That's just because now this is my behavior now.
Mm-hmm.
So what I could just set it for 9 and actually get up.
This sounds like behavior that, one, very hard to blame on the snooze feature, and two, may be replicated in other elements of your life.
I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm just saying I don't think the snooze button is a plus.
I engage in this behavior. It's consistently destructive. Nothing I could have done about it. That's the vibe that gives off.
You are projecting onto me right now. I think everything I do is fine.
Okay. That's problematic.
Yeah. There's nothing I could do.
Symptomatic of other leagues.
Both these players are going to take a look at their opening hand. Well, that's a couple ley lines.
All right, so that shuts off Thought Not Seer, but at a pretty high cost.
That's 2 cards. I mean, one could, look, it's not a double mulligan. It's a single mulligan.
Well, there's not even a guarantee that the first ley line carries any weight.
True.
If Musser is just on a curve plus counter spells, I'm surprised he went to the ley line here.
That's reasonable.
So the ad nauseum deck, I guess, is in a slightly different position. Because a lot of times where you see ley line come in to protect yourself from discard, it's decks that care about critical mass, like Storm, where every discard spell matters. Byrd, and so those mulligans from the ley line are really impactful. Because Byrd is leaning on one card, it might be worth it from his perspective to ley line to shut off Thought Not Seer, because if Thought Not Seer takes into ad nauseum, his hand often just goes nowhere.
True. Here's a Sky Spawner off the Temple. You saw Temple of Enlightenment is where Byrd started. Now he's got a Gemstone Mine, 3 counters past the turn back. Byrd can't buy he can't buy a Lotus Bloom. Never seen one on suspend. Gonna be moving on to the finals probably. Heaven forbid he ever draws one. See what the follow-up is here.
Although we've seen him very clinically every game we watch go, play cantrip and scry and et cetera, use all his mana every single turn, and then when he hits 6 mana, win the game.
Mm-hmm. There's Thought Knots here, but no bueno with the ley lines out there.
And if Byrd's hand here only had the 1 copy of Ad Nauseam, those 2 ley lines might be well worth it.
Mm-hmm. Phyrexian Unlife. Pass the turn back. We'll take a look at this powerful enchantment here in just a moment. You don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. And as long as you have 0 or less life, all damage is dealt to you as though its source had infect. Now, you see the Gemstone Mine over there, still got 3 counters on it because Nicholas Byrd, pretty skilled Ad Nauseam pilot. He has an Urborg over there tapping the Gemstone Mine for black, means he doesn't have to remove any mining counters from that land. Now here's a Displacer. Force. All right, look. Nope, never mind. It's not lethal yet.
No, he's got 10 on the table.
Well, Unlife.
Oh.
Means he's got to deal 20.
So, but it's over 2 turns. It's
Yeah.
at least fairly efficient.
So Musser's done a pretty nice job. Again, I mean, this is a lot like game number 1. All right, I got my stuff. Hallowed Fountain's going to battlefield tapped here for Nicholas. But more importantly, this time, Musser actually has a copy of Negate.
Yep.
So he gets to hide behind that. He'll draw a card.
And this is the spot where I thought relatively likely that Byrd wants to have Path of Negation in the deck.
Yep.
To push through the counterspell.
Musser's going to take 1 to play a Stirrings here, I think. Now, I'm not sure the best thing he can stir into. couple of lands. He went by a Stony Silence. There's another copy of Thought Not Seer, but that's not going to do anything because of the ley lines. As long as he keeps negate up, which you know he's going to do. He might have a chance stealing this one. Again, remember, it's important for Musser to get 10 in this turn and then 10 in the next turn. Phyrexian Unlife, really good card in this deck.
Might represent a whole turn, but then the question is, you know, can Byrd punch through the negate?
Yeah. Does he have the tools? Does he have, you know, a land? I guess he needs multiple mana because he's only got 4 mana right now. I mean, basically, he's got to have it all.
Yep.
To be able to do what he wants to do. Musser going to come in for 10 here. This is going to be fun. He's at 0. We get to put 0 on the screen and him not be dead. That might be an SCG tour first. Let's take a look at Phyrexian Unlife again. Now, as long as you have 0 or less life, all damage is dealt to you as though its source had infect. So there you go. You get him to 10 infect, they lose the game. Now, Musser is really weighing, all right, I have a Ghost Quarter. Does Ghost Quartering you do anything? Does me playing another copy of Thought Not Seer do anything? Or do I just say play Ghost Quarter, leave negate up, and pass? That's the question.
Well, if he Ghost Quarters the Urborg, then Byrd does not have access to double black.
Any swamps in his deck?
He does have a swamp.
Okay.
Okay, so he can't really do anything on that front.
Now, you don't know if the swamp's in his hand, but I guess if the swamp was in his hand, he could just play it for the turn. You know, what are the chances that you could Ghost Quarter him and it would be a Stone Rain when he's got 3 basics in his deck? Pretty low.
Yep. And you're winning all those games anyway.
Most likely true, yeah. There's Basic Island. Oh, dear.
Does he have the pact?
Nauseam. Here's a negate. It's pact or bust, folks. That's game, boys.
You lose.
Yeah.
Curved out with Thought Not Seer and a negate. Can't ask for
you
a
can't ask for a
lot
lot
more.
Yeah. The second ley line's no good, but yeah, you can't ask for much better. You really can't. And I don't know. I don't think there's anything Musser can do. He's gonna Ghost Quarter him, maybe.
I don't even know what the Hail Mary is that he's trying to throw.
Look, you gotta try. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep, go ahead, man. Maybe you only have 2 Spirit Guides or something weird. I don't know. That's 1. There's the Lightning Storm.
This has been a clinic.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't watched him lose on camera once. He hasn't lost a game, and he hasn't suspended a Lotus Bloom once. Not once. There's this.
Pact of Negation, X2 backup.
When the deck plays like this, it seems like it's just unbeatable. Yeah. I like it. Give him a land back.
Yeah.
All right, I will play a land
Play back at him.
Yeah, I will play a land back.
Oh, maybe that's the reason to Ghost Quarter him, is hope that he puts a land.
Ooh. Ooh. Does that do anything?
No, I don't. Also, Byrd could just fail to find.
No. If he makes him draw a card with Thought Not Seer, does that do anything? Right? Can't he displace his? Can he displace his Thought Not Seer? Okay. All right. I don't think this does anything. So if he displaces his Thought Not Seer, doesn't Nicholas Byrd have to draw a card?
It's target opponent.
It's target opponent.
Target
All
opponent.
Right, never mind. Man.
Yeah.
I thought he might backdoor him there.
Right. I guess that might be the other tilting point there to have to bring in the ley lines. It's not just protection from Thought Not Seer.
Okay.
It's not getting killed when you draw your whole deck against Thought Not Seer.
I got really excited there for a moment. Yeah. That if that's a backdoor win, that's crazy if that's a backdoor